1986, Chernobyl, Ukraine. It was a reactor meltdown that caused one of the walls to break and irradiated water spilling out over the surrounding land. A moderate estimate of the death toll places that around 27,000 people. Fukushima, Japan, 2008. Tsunami hits, same thing, 300 to 500 people estimated to die of radiation poisoning. Overall, misuse of nuclear reactors and radiation from them causes 10 deaths every year. 10? That's right, 10 deaths every year. As villainized as nuclear radiation is, it's honestly one of the safest, cleanest, and cost-effective sources of energy there is. My evidence comes from research that's been conducted since the splitting of the atom that leads to this intrinsic and indisputable truth. Nuclear energy is, like I said, safe, cheap, powerful, clean, and I believe should be implemented on a global scale. I hear the skeptics out there among you. Well, how is it safe? You just mentioned 27,000 people dying from one meltdown. It's hazardous. The nuclear waste is like poisoning countrysides, and it makes like this ominous green glowing clicking sound whenever I go up to it. But fret not. As I said, it is one of the safest types of energy in terms of human casualties as well as ecologically. A 1979 IAEA bulletin, that is the International Atomic Energy Association, by Herbert Inhaber, there were less than 2,000 total deaths from nuclear radiation and reactors at the time, compared to coal and oil, almost 200,000 apiece, solar 90,000, hydroelectric 6,000. The only energy they deemed as safer in terms of human casualties was natural gas, 400, which most of those deaths came from improper drilling and extraction. Ecologically, most of the danger from nuclear waste comes from improper handling and improper transport. Latreille et al. Wrote in 2010 in Managing Spent Nuclear Fuel that rods are cooled, removed, and they're packed in casks of inert gas, usually krypton or argon. Most of the danger from transporting comes from traffic accidents, believe it or not, where transport trucks are hit and nuclear waste just spills out. And the concept, like, culturally of nuclear waste is like you're probably thinking it's some kind of toxic green sludge that like spilling out from barrels. Most of it's just rods and dirt with just radiation coming off of it. There's also been 0 reported incidences of nuclear radiation spillage in the past 30 years now, which is not something people talk about a lot. There are even ways to recycle spent nuclear fuel rods. It's just not considered cost effective in most cases, so most people don't go about doing that. On the subject of cost effectiveness, I said before nuclear energy is one of the most cost effective types of energy there is. Research done this year by Rowan Price et al. I should preface with this, I said. Western reliance on Russian fuel, an article published by him, says that Russia is 35% of the market of uranium globally, which is part of the reason not a lot of countries do it, because I'm sure most of you know historically, a lot of countries don't get along very well with Russia. But despite that, uranium rod and maintenance cost is honestly a little bit expensive. $81 for like a gram of uranium, which if you know how like dense it is, that's not a lot. But operation cost is 2.3 cents per kilowatt hour, which again, kilowatt, 1,000 watts per hour. 2.3 cents comes from just the maintenance as well as the cost of uranium. Because as expensive as it is 90,000 times as energy dense as coal, which comes in second to it. And if you know anything about coal prices, it's not 90,000 times lower than $81 a gram. This information comes from Prastudi Singh's 2015 report, Nuclear Energy Comparison with Alternative Energy Sources. Yeah, 90,000, incredibly energy dense and incredibly powerful. Uranium and other fission-based reactions, are one of the top producers of energy per gram of fuel per ton. there's a 2017 research report by Sam Nunn and Igor Ivanov entitled Nuclear Energy, Addressing Climate Change Will Require the Safe and Secure Use of Nuclear Energy, which mentioned that currently, even in the limited use that we have of it, it makes up 11% of total energy supplies across the globe, which is incredible seeing as there's, I don't believe, even 1,000 nuclear reactors right now. I also want to bring up the concept now of thorium reactors, which are more expensive in their startup cost and need plutonium work, which is more expensive even, produce a little bit less energy, but are much more safe and much more abundant in the earth thorium is, which is what people want to implement in places like the Middle East, where uranium is generally, there are certain groups that I'm not going to mention by name in the Middle East that you don't want to have uranium. These reactors, thorium reactors, have ranges in the 40,000 megawatt hour range, which a megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts, so that's a million right there. While regular uranium reactors have 50 to 60,000 megawatt hour range. It's incredible that a much less powerful fuel can still create this staggering amounts of energy. To conclude, I want to relate this back to ethical leadership and community engagement. If you're the leader of the country, for example, would it be ethical to put this investment forward, this startup cost for a reactor, in order to produce far more energy in a carbon zero way that's just much more available and frankly much safer than most other types of energy? And also to relate this back to community engagement, like I've already told you, it may be a bit more expensive, but it is safe and reliable, cost effective. And I hope that this speech I'm giving has been able to convince all of you that there's action that needs to be taken. Just advocating publicly or writing to people in the government that these sort of things need to be done. I hope I've laid a groundwork today, and we can all bring about this bright, green, glowing, radiation-hazed future for everyone. Thank you.